have done our discussion of the cell cycle overview. So what is interphase? What are the different phases within interphase? We're now going to talk about what is mitosis and what are those 4 phases that are inside of mitosis. So that's what your worksheet has. You have P, M, A, and T. Let's go ahead and go through what do the chromosomes look like at each of those stages. But in order to look at what the chromosomes look like at each of those stages, we first have to remember what are the chromosomes doing during interphase. So in interphase, let's say in G1, we have 1 copy of each of the chromosomes. So for demonstration purposes, I'm just doing a 1 DNA strand, but of course, you know, humans, we have much more chromosomes than that. Okay? Then in the S phase, which occurs DNA synthesis, we make a copy, an exact copy of that DNA. So now we have 2 copies of it. In G2, we still have 2 copies. In the beginning of mitosis, we still have 2 copies. I went ahead and showed that the cell is kind of starting to break up into the 2 pieces, right? We're starting to see those 2 new nuclei form. And then ultimately in cytokinesis, we end up with 2 cells, each of them getting identical copies, okay? So again, remembering starting off in G1, we have 1 copy of the cell, then we duplicate it. Not 1 copy of the cell, we have 1 copy of the DNA inside of the cell, then we duplicate it to make 2 copies, and then at the very end, each of the cells end up with 1 copy each. Okay? So let's go ahead and go through what exactly prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase mean. So the first part of this, of mitosis, is prophase. Prophase has 2 copies of the chromosomes, right? And protophase is whenever the cell is preparing for division, okay? So it's preparing for dividing. It's not exactly dividing quite just yet, but it's preparing for division. So you might see the chromosomes start to show up a little bit better, a little bit more clearly, because they're getting ready to do their thing. The next part is known as metaphase. Metaphase is when the chromosomes line up in the middle of the cell. So as you can see, metaphase, middle, this is the middle. This is the middle of the cell. Okay, the chromosomes are lining up in the middle, and it's kind of easy to remember what that what it is because metaphase starts with an M. Middle starts with an M. So if you see chromosomes that are in the middle like this, then you know that the cell is in metaphase. The next part of the cell cycle, mitosis, is going to be anaphase. In anaphase, the chromosomes are being pulled apart. So as you can see here, these chromosomes are lined up in the middle. Now, this half of it is going to that side of the cell, and the other half of that DNA is going to the other side of the cell. And that's what it ends up looking like this. Okay? Anaphase. The chromosomes are beginning to be pulled apart. The next part is going to be telophase. Telophase is whenever we start to have 2 new nuclei are beginning to form. And we show that they're beginning to form by using dashed lines. It's showing that they're not full nuclei yet, right? It's not fully divided yet, but it is beginning to form those 2 nuclei. Telophase also, sometimes the cells, depending on like what part of telophase they're in, it also might start to kind of look like this a little bit more, because it's showing that it's starting to divide, but it's not fully dividing yet, okay? So, yeah. In telophase, what you need to be looking for in identifying telophase is are there 2 new nuclei forming? If so, it's telophase. And then last but not least, we have what's known as cytokinesis. This is when the cytoplasm is actually fully divided. So as you can see, in telophase, we began forming 2 new nuclei, but they didn't fully form yet. In cytokinesis, we do have that full separation. We have that cell and we have that cell. They're fully separated from one another. That is known as cytokinesis. Okay? And that, my friends, is PMAT, the subphases of mitosis, cellular division.